Mapping the Human Mind Through Cognitive Functions. June 30th, 2025, 4:35 p.m. Part 1. I became obsessed with tracking the human mind. Mapping it out, trail by muddy road, every rabbit hole, every deer path, every unseen airway and water hole. What I found wasn't what I expected. With the help of Carl Jung, Myers-Briggs, and Dave and Shannon from Objective Personality, I believe I've explained it in a way that is easy to understand. One of my longtime goals in life, and I believe one of my strengths, is taking complicated ideas and putting them into clear, understandable language. So we shall see if I succeeded. The grand myth that all humans process the same. Most people operate under a false assumption that everyone should arrive at the same conclusions if they just use common sense. But that's not how humans are wired. Not even close. Psychologists have long tried to categorize human behavior, and one of the more familiar tools is the Myers-Briggs Type Indicator, MBTI. Yes, it's imperfect. It's often oversimplified, commercialized, and misunderstood. But at its core, MBTI, especially when integrated with objective personality, which expands it into 5 or 12 types, touches on a deep truth. People don't think the same way, feel the same way, or prioritize information the same way. Ever. Part 3. The 16 types are like 16 animals. Imagine the 16 MBTI types not as personality categories, but as 16 different animals. You wouldn't expect a largemouth bass to climb a tree. You wouldn't expect a hummingbird to plow a field. And yet, in human society, we constantly demand that everyone process information, make decisions, and function the same, regardless of their innate cognitive wiring. Number 1. Draft horse. ISTJ functions. Psi-T-Fini loyal, methodical, and built for sustained, reliable effort. The draft horse doesn't need praise, it just needs the harness. Give it a job, a system, and a timeline, and it will follow through every time. But ask it to dream up new worlds or question authority? That's like asking it to climb trees. Core message: don't judge a horse for not flying. It was born to pull. Chartu, largemouth bass, ESTP functions, CT Fini, sharp-eyed, impulsive, and responsive. The base strikes fast, lives in the moment, and reacts with precision. It doesn't plan long-term, it calculates risk and reward instantly. We expect it to reflect deeply, but it's wired for real-time response. Core message: don't ask a base to meditate. It's scanning for movement. Number 3. Raven NTP functions, Tinasifi. Clever, reclusive, and abstract. The raven doesn't build consensus, it builds puzzles. It's a mental wanderer, uncomfortable in emotional group dynamics, but brilliant when left alone to explore its own thoughts. Core message: don't expect a raven to flock. It's up in the tower building theories. Number 4. Red Fox. ENFP functions, NIFI-TC, quick-witted, curious, and emotionally complex. The fox chases ideas like scent trails, always running toward the next what if. It's driven by ideals but struggles with structure. Core message: don't try to fence in a fox. It will find the gap every time. 5. Brahma Bull. ESTJ functions, T-Sine Phi, unshakable, commanding, and proud. The Brahma Bull doesn't debate. It decides. It wants to act, not ponder. It's built for results and recognition, not nuance. Core message: don't expect the bull to sit in therapy. Give it a mission. 6. Milk Cow ISFJ functions, Sci-Fi Tai Nei, gentle, nurturing, and structured. The milk cow doesn't ask for much, but it quietly resents instability. It remembers everything and serves faithfully until it breaks. Core message: don't forget the cow's loyalty. It's not infinite. Grizzly Bear ISTP functions, Tisanifi solitary, reactive, and observant. The grizzly doesn't need you unless you're in its way. But underestimate it, and you'll see just how quickly it can dissect a problem. Core message: don't poke the bear. It's calculating. 8. Killer Whale ENTJ functions, teeny, safe, dominant, and tactical. The killer whale works with a pack, but only if the pack follows orders. It values efficiency and control. Brilliant, but sometimes forgets there are other whales in the sea. Core message: don't mistake cold efficiency for lack of purpose. 9. Golden Eagle INTJ functions, Ni TFC, focused, visionary, and solitary. The golden eagle sees patterns miles ahead and moves with piercing intent. It doesn't circle for fun, it circles for calculated outcomes. Core message: don't clip the eagle's wings and then ask why it doesn't soar. 10. Common ESFP functions, Siftini, loud, social, and theatrical. The grackle lives in the present. It needs interaction, aesthetics, and freedom to express. It may charm you or annoy you, but it will never blend quietly into the background. Core message: don't scold the grackle for singing. That's what it does. 11. Siberian Husky, ENFJ functions, Phi NICTT, charismatic and tribe-oriented. The Husky pulls people forward, not just sleds. It needs a pack, a mission, and something to believe in. Without purpose, it becomes restless and destructive. Core message: don't tether a Husky without purpose. It will chew through its own leash. Shemana 12. Bluegill, ISFP functions, Fise Naiti, soft, elusive, and aesthetically sensitive. The bluegill moves through the world guided by feeling and beauty. Emotionally rich, but prone to disappearing when overwhelmed. Core message: don't expect a bluegill to explain itself. Its truth is quiet and internal. Hanner 13. Raccoon, INFP functions, Phi Nisite, creative, oddball, and idealistic. The raccoon builds meaning out of what others discard. Its world is shaped by symbolism and personal truth. Core message: don't shame the raccoon for making art out of trash. It sees what you missed. 14. Wildebeest, ESFJ functions, Phi Psi Nati, group focused and dependable. The wildebeest runs with the herd and protects the young. It respects tradition and understands that survival often comes through belonging. Core message: don't call the wildebeest a follower. It's keeping the whole herd alive. 15. Hummingbird, ENTP functions, Niti Phi Psi. Brilliant, restless, and dazzling, the hummingbird samples every idea and connects every dot. It thrives on novelty but risks burning out. Core message: don't cage the hummingbird and then ask why it's not pollinating. 16. Mountain goat, INFJ functions, Naife Tse, deliberate, deep, and enduring. The mountain goat climbs cliffs others don't even see, driven by quiet intuition and a desire to guide others from the shadows. Core message: don't mock the goat's climb if you've never seen the peak. The 8 cognitive functions and how they work together. Let's get something straight. Nobody is just one thing. We don't operate on single tracks. Every person uses a full stack of functions, 8 in total. 4 are conscious and primary, and 4 sit underneath as shadow functions. No two people use them exactly the same way, but the combination someone leans on tells you more about their motivation than almost anything else. You won't find this stuff on a resume. It doesn't predict outcome. It predicts drive, the why behind the choices. That's the key. The 8 functions, what they actually do. We're going to get a little technical here, but stay with me. These functions are the gears behind the eyes, the invisible levers that shape how someone processes the world. Introverted sensing, memory, tradition, and internal consistency. Psi is the archivist. It constantly compares the present to the past. Have I seen this before? What happened last time? It values familiarity and safety. Psi keeps track of everything: your grandmother's recipes, the way your truck always pulls to the left, or the strange way someone smiled before they betrayed you. Extroverted sensing, raw awareness of the present moment. C focuses on what is happening right now through the senses. It notices details, reacts quickly, and trusts experience over theory. This is the function behind thrill-seeking, physical instinct, and noticing what everyone else missed in the room. Introverted intuition, pattern recognition over time. Ni sees what's coming. It isn't psychic. It's simply very good at pulling a thread through scattered events and recognizing the larger pattern. It lives in long-term outcomes and future possibilities. Often it knows the answer without being able to explain exactly how it got there. Extroverted intuition, the idea generator. Any bounces, spins, and plays with possibilities. It explores what if like a kid in a candy store. It doesn't want one path. It wants 10 options. Ni connects seemingly unrelated ideas and chases novelty and potential wherever it appears. Introverted thinking, internal logic. Tai is the private tinkerer of the mind. It wants things to make sense, not according to society's rules, but according to its own internal framework. It constantly refines, adjusts, and breaks ideas down to their basic components. Tai cares less about what works for everyone and more about what is actually true. Extroverted thinking, T, systems, results, and efficiency. T focuses on getting things done. It uses external benchmarks, what works in practice, what the rules are, how to meet deadlines, and hit targets. It organizes the outside world and often feels comfortable directing how systems and people should operate. Introverted feeling, deep internal values. Phi is the inner compass. It feels what is right or wrong internally rather than based on group consensus. It values authenticity, emotional truth, and personal alignment. When Phi is strong, it will defend a principle that no one else even sees. Extroverted feeling, Effie, external harmony. Phi reads the emotional temperature of the room. It understands group dynamics and knows how to create emotional connection. It tries to build consensus, maintain relationships, and keep the social environment functioning smoothly. The function stack, how they pair together. Every person has a dominant function, the one they rely on most. Then comes the auxiliary, followed by the tertiary, and finally the inferior function. These four make up the conscious stack. Underneath them sit four shadow functions. These are less conscious and tend to show up during stress, insecurity, or emotional triggers. The shadow functions aren't bad. They're simply less developed. Often they appear in distorted ways: overreaction, avoidance, defensiveness, or unhealthy obsession. But when they are integrated, they become a hidden reserve of strength. You use all 8 functions, but you don't trust them equally. And that's why people clash. Not because they're evil or stupid, but because they're making decisions based on entirely different internal priorities. The 4 interaction styles. Objective personality. Objective personality adds another layer to this model. Interaction styles, often called the animals. These describe how we move energy in the world. Play. Play is outward energy. It's about bouncing ideas, interacting with people, and engaging with the environment in real time. Play types seek stimulation, group engagement, and spontaneity. They are often high energy and socially active. Blast. Blast is about organizing and delivering information. People with strong blast energy tend to teach, direct, and structure communication. They naturally step into leadership or instructional roles. It's the let me explain how this works mode. Consume. Consume gathers information. These individuals want to observe, research, and understand deeply before speaking. They absorb patterns and data quietly. Consume types often hesitate before sharing, but internally they are learning constantly. Sleep. Sleep conserves energy. It focuses on internal processing, reflection, and personal alignment. Sleep types recharge alone and spend a lot of time building their internal frameworks. They may appear withdrawn, but their inner world is often very active. Everyone uses all 4 of these styles, but their order matters. That order shapes how someone interacts with people, how they learn, and how they spend their energy. Had my cognitive function stack, how it shows up in real life. Here's my personal stack. 1. Masculine extroverted intuition, dominant. 2. Feminine extroverted thinking, T, auxiliary. 3. Masculine introverted feeling, tertiary. 4. Feminine introverted sensing, inferior. Pattern 1. Masculine extroverted intuition. This is my lead function, the driver of the car. It grabs possibilities like a dog with a bone. Ni doesn't just scan the future. It builds entire frameworks of what could be. It kicks in when I explore history, human patterns, or tie threads into new ideas and narratives. It fuels creative projects like my app concept Fair Space, knife auctions, and the podcast I've been wanting to start. The challenge? With so many possibilities, focus can be tricky. Feminine extroverted thinking. T helps bring order to all those ideas. It's about getting things done, building systems, and applying practical solutions. But because it's feminine T, it's flexible, not rigid. It adapts ideas to work in the real world, influencing rather than forcing outcomes. T isn't always aggressive. It's about collaboration over domination. 3. Masculine introverted feeling. Phi is the authenticity check. It doesn't care if an action is logical or efficient. If it isn't right internally, Phi protests loudly. This often puts my Te and Phi at odds. Te wants to execute, Phi wants to stay true. I'm learning to let them collaborate instead of compete. 4. Feminine introverted sensing. Psi is my inferior function. I have a decent memory, but Psi tracks comfort, routines, and details that keep life smooth. Under pressure, it can sabotage me, fixating on small steps, packing, or household details instead of taking action. It's like my brain slams the brakes for something that should have been a gentle nudge. Shadow functions, 5 to 8. Any of the shadow functions can hijack you under stress, especially when emotionally triggered. They are unconscious, often appearing in ways that feel foreign or reactive. The inferior function, the fourth, almost always shows up first in moments of pressure. Think of it like a panic switch, weak and underdeveloped, but deeply tied to stability and survival. Most people get blindsided by it. With self-awareness, the shadow can become a grounding influence, not a landmine. The car analogy. Your mind is like a car with four seats. Driver, dominant function, 90%, runs the show. Passenger, auxiliary, 60%, helps navigate practically. Backseat, tertiary, 40%, often competing for voice. Rear corner, inferior, 10%, quiet but can hijack under stress. The driver and fourth function are polar opposites. They rarely coordinate smoothly, which is why the inferior can resist change when the dominant pushes. Integration isn't about making them equal, it's about building respect between functions. In practice, driver 90%, strong adult, passenger 60%, young adult, tertiary 40%, 10-year-old, inferior 10%, 3-year-old. Every life decision involves all four, and learning to let them work together is key. This section shows your stack clearly and makes the car analogy far easier to follow. Observers versus deciders. This is one of the biggest splits in human wiring. Understanding it is key to why people freak out over completely different things. Observers. Observers are focused on what's happening, the systems, facts, and possibilities. Their tension is between sensing what is and intuition what could be. Example. Wait, what happened exactly? Let me see the timeline. Let me gather info. Observers stress over missing pieces of information or unpredictability. Deciders. Deciders are focused on who's involved, people, responsibilities, and values. Their tension is between thinking, logic, and feeling, values. Example, who's responsible? Who's being unfair? What does that mean? Deciders stress over personal conflicts, fairness, or betrayal. Key insight. Most fights aren't logic versus logic, they're observer versus decider. One person is upset about facts, unknowns, or system issues. The other is upset about people, fairness, or moral alignment. If you don't know which you are, you'll keep trying to fix the wrong problem. Single versus double observer decider. Objective personality adds a subtle but powerful layer. Single versus double. Observers. Single observer leads with one perceiving function, e.g., ni or si, and lacks the opposite, ni or si. Double observer has both observing functions in the middle of the stack, e.g., si, se, or ni, ni. This gives more balance in understanding the world. Effect in real life. Single observers may miss patterns or struggle with broader context. Double observers adapt well to external chaos but struggle with emotional conflicts or people issues. Deciders. Single decider leads with one judging function, e.g., phi or t, and lacks the other, ye, phi. Double decider has both deciders in the middle, e.g., e or tai, phi. This allows them to see internal and external conflicts between people clearly. Effect in real life. Double deciders handle social dynamics well, but freak out when the environment is chaotic. Single deciders are less equipped to handle complex social conflicts, but adapt better to practical or systemic issues. Summary. Double deciders panic when systems fail or chaos arises. Comfortable with people but not unpredictability. Double observers panic when people create conflict or moral dilemmas. Comfortable with external patterns but not emotional chaos. Why this matters. Knowing your type, observer or decider, single or double, gives you a massive head start in understanding your triggers and how others react. It also explains why people with the same type can behave so differently in stress. It's not the functions themselves, it's which function comes first and which sits in the middle. The 9 coins of objective personality. Objective personality uses 9 coins, binary choices, that combined take you from 16 NEGBTI types to 512 unique subtypes. Think of each coin as a yes-no question that defines how your mind is wired. 1. Introvert versus extrovert E. Where does your energy go? Extroverts, outward, toward people and the external world. Introverts, inward, toward ideas and internal reflection, determined by your dominant function. 2. Observer SN versus decider F. What kind of problem do you solve most? Observer focused on information, facts, patterns. Decider focused on people, values, decisions. 3. Sensing S versus intuition N. How do you take in information? S. Concrete details, present reality, psi or C. Patterns, connections. abstract possibilities, NE or NE. Now to 4, thinking versus feeling, F. How do you make decisions? T, logic, consistency, objective measures, T or tie. F, values, authenticity, harmony, phi or phi. How 5, decider first versus observer first. Which comes first in your mind? Decider first, people focused, concerned with fairness, responsibility, values. Observer first, info focused, concerned with facts, patterns, systems. 6, masculine versus feminine, modality. Each function has a masculine, assertive, or feminine, flexible, style. Masculine, stubborn, assertive, protective, fixed. Feminine, adaptive, yielding, receptive. Determines how strongly you push or bend with the world. 7, sleep first versus play first. Which animal shows up first? Sleep, internal processing, reflection, conserving energy. Play, external engagement, spontaneous exploration. 8, consume first versus blast first. How do you use your energy externally? Consume, observe, absorb, gather info before acting. Blast, teach, organize, share output actively. Hash 9, jumper versus standard. Do your functions appear in sequential order or do you jump? Standard, ni ti phi psi, typical order. Jumper, ni kai ti psi, skips auxiliary. Jumpers are more self-reliant and unconventional in how they use their functions. Had from 16 types to 512 subtypes. Here's how the coins multiply the MBTI base. 1. Start with the 16 MBTI types, EI, SN, TF, JP, 16 types. 2. Add standard versus jumper. Each type can be standard or jumper. 16 times 2, 32. 3. Add modality, mask fem. Each type has masculine feminine pairings for decider and observer, 32 of 128. 4. Add animal stack. Each type has 4 valid orders of play, blast, consume. Sleep 128 times 4 equals 512. Final result, 512 unique subtypes, each describing exactly how a person processes information, makes decisions, and interacts with the world. Why this system works? Starts with the familiar 16 MBTI types. Adds nuance through jumps, interaction styles, and masculine-feminine modality. Maps not just functions, but how energy flows, where focus lies, and how people react under stress. Explains why 2 people with the same 4-letter type can act completely differently. Mash example, my type, dominant ni, masculine, auxiliary T, tertiary phi, masculine, inferior psi, feminine, animal stack, play, blast, consume, sleep. Jumper, yes, double feminine, resulting subtype ENFP jumper FF, double feminine. This shows exactly how I interact with the world, process information, and respond under pressure, far beyond just ENFP on a piece of paper. Judging versus perceiving, what it really means. In the cognitive function framework, judging J and perceiving P aren't about being judgy or laid back. They describe how your mind interacts with the outer world. Perceiving functions, how you take in information, observing, see, nai. Judging functions, how you make decisions, deciding. Key distinction, judgers prefer to organize, finalize, and structure their environment. They act decisively and like closure. Perceivers prefer to explore, stay flexible, and gather more information before acting. They adapt to change rather than impose structure. How this connects to MBTI letters. A judging type, like ENTJ ISFJ, leads with a judging function externally. A perceiving type, like ENFP ISTP, leads with a perceiving function externally. Objective personality doesn't rely on the JP letters for typing. It focuses on which functions you use and how you use them. But understanding JP helps beginners grasp the observer versus decider dynamic in practical terms. How the 4 MBTI letters are generated. 1. EI, extroversion or introversion, where energy flows. Extroverts outward toward people and the world. Introverts inward toward thoughts and ideas. 2N, sensing or intuition, how you gather info, sensors, concrete facts, detail-focused, intuitives, patterns, connections, possibilities. 3, TEF, thinking or feeling, how you decide, thinkers, logic, cause and effect, objective, feelers, values, emotional truth, harmony. 4, JP, judging or perceiving, how you interact with the outer world, judgers, structure, closure, planning. Perceivers, flexibility, exploration, adaptation. Example, ENFP equals extroverted, intuitive, feeling, perceiving, neat leave T auxiliary with T and psi following. Masculine versus feminine functions, modality. Each function carries a modality that affects its energy and approach. Masculine, assertive, stubborn, fixed, protective. Feminine, flexible, adaptive, yielding, receptive. Example, masculine T pushes external systems forcefully. Feminine T, practical but collaborative. Modality affects behavior even if two people have the same four functions. This is how objective personality refines MBTI into 512 types. Subtypes in the 5 of 12 types. Starting from your MBTI type 1, animal stack, order of play, blast, consume, sleep, your four main function expressions. 2, modality, masculine feminine pairing for decider and observer 3. Observer, decider, and jumper pattern. Single versus double, standard versus jumper. Combine all these layers, each MBTI type can branch into 32 variants, and with all combinations, 512 subtypes. Simple formula, 16 MBTI types 2, jumper standard, times 4, modality combos, times 4 animal stacks equals 512. Takeaways, every human is unique. Expecting everyone to think, feel, or act the same is a recipe for frustration. Functions predict drive, not outcome. They show why we make the choices we do. Observer versus decider explains most conflicts and freakouts. Modality, jumper patterns, and animal stacks reveal the nuance between people with identical MBTI letters. Integration of functions, especially the inferior function, determines how we handle stress and interact with the world. This completes your full framework, from cognitive functions and animal metaphors to interaction styles, modality, and the 512 type system. It's all structured to explain why humans behave so differently, even when they seem similar on the surface.